Part 3. Alder laughed hard, almost hysterically. Oh, really? Then where's your fangs? I don't have fangs, he said. Not much of a vampire then, huh? She said. I don't make the rules. Maybe others do. I don't know. I just know I don't. New to it, huh? So what's your deal? You want to die or something? She asked honestly. Yep, that's the gist. I was just waiting for this kill beast thing to finish me off. I think it's God's will. What a crock of shit. People like to look at random coincidence and put it on God. I bet there were just as many things that happened to save you than to kill you, Alder said while wrapping her scarf. Malcolm gave it serious thought, and he'd be damned if it wasn't true. For everything that wanted him dead, there were 2 things that looked to save him. Well, I hope it works out for you. And maybe, if you really don't think you can do it, kill yourself. What the fuck do I know? Alder said while walking out of the alley. Malcolm stood up straight, realizing to live with his disease or curse or whatever it was, and as bad as it was, there were people willing to help. It was a sin to kill, and to kill yourself, to waste one's life. Only God decided when you died. Malcolm realized he should stop attempting to divine the voice of God and start listening to his own voice. Malcolm approached the ancient burned door of the church. He felt as if he should rehearse an apology for his behavior, but he didn't consider himself sly enough for such an on-the-fly show of wit. He pushed in the door, which was open, and saw Yusef and Roger instantly snap to attention. Both men had knives in hand. Malcolm raised his hands in surrender. Guys, it's me. Yusef relaxed, as did Roger. They seemed as if they were preparing for a final stand. Are you on board now? Asked Yusef with a casual tone of voice. I think so, Malcolm replied, eager to put the past behind them. You got some sort of knife? Roger questioned. Malcolm dug in his pocket and brandished a small pocket knife. Just this? Oh, really? That what you use to feed? I guess. Do you guys have fangs? Malcolm asked cautiously. Yusef looked to Roger, and the latter tackled the question. No, hardly no one does. Maybe some of the older of us do. I've only seen one of our kind that truly had any powers of note. That's sort of disappointing. Are you back on life now? A man with questions is a man that looks to the future, Yusef rationalized. Malcolm neither confirmed or denied his willingness to live. I'm here. Let's just start with that and go from there. So what's the plan? Roger's eyebrows went one up, one down, akin to a ponder from Mr. Spock. Not much of a plan, more than just sticking here and hoping that it shows up. And you thought I was suicidal? We can beat it together, Roger added. And how sure are you on that? Because the picture you painted me was of hopelessness. Well, we were blowing a little smoke up your ass. But it was in service of saving your life, Yusef said with a grin. Then what is this thing? Can you at least clue me in on that? Roger positioned Malcolm away from the door. Could be any number of things. We didn't see it. You did. Technically, yes. But in reality, I was stoned off my ass. The most I could see was the color yellow. Okay, then ballpark guess. Was it a turn that went bad and came back wrong? Or a human that broke a dragon contract now that hunts down vampires? Roger speculated. Malcolm rolled his eyes in annoyance of just how asinine everything was now that he was a vampire. It was an hour till dawn, and the 3 were all perched in hiding spots like a surprise party. We're gonna have to call it a night, Roger said in defeat. Well, what now? Are we gonna do this every night until one of us loses it and kills one another? Malcolm said. Yusef laughed at the notion, even though it was probably true. I think what we should do is go to a place with people and see what it does. Roger thought, but his considerations seemed only for the sake of being polite. What if it did attack us in public? It could kill people, maybe even still kill us. No, how would it? How could it if it's a monster or something? Won't it not want to be seen? Yusef and Roger smiled and shook their heads. My friend, you may have never heard of it firsthand, but monsters that defy belief are protected by the veil. Some sort of mystical thing that alters humans' perceptions. So what, it could kill us and then they'd think it was a dog or something? Yes, Yusef said bluntly. Well, let's do plan B. Let's just get the fuck out of the city, Malcolm suggested. Then you just have to deal with the next thing in the next city. Believe it or not, you have come farther than most. We never know who will turn, so most just infect people and leave them there. Some don't even realize they did anything. Then, invariable, they go overboard killing because they can't help it and get killed themselves. We are such a rare thing that we hardly ever know what to do, even if we're lucky enough to notice the turning, Yusef explained. So even you're on the we are beautiful snowflakes bit? No, not really. What I was trying to say is that if you were strong enough to last this long, maybe you're strong enough to beat this thing. Survival has nothing to do with strength and everything to do with doing whatever vile thing it is you need to assure you and no one else walks out. I wouldn't put too much stock in celebrating a survivor's courage or strength. Roger left the safety of his hiding spot and looked Malcolm in the eye, which was filled with compassion. If you do leave, look for signs of others like us. You may be able to get in with them. Having numbers can give new avenues of survival when we exhaust ours. Like what signs? It will be different in all cities because most of us lack the patience to do much else than drink. For us, usually it's a door. But you'll have to be smart because abominations aren't the only thing that will stalk us. Malcolm at least could say he tried because he was willing to make this allegiance work. But now that the rules had changed, he knew he was not confident enough to live in a city this big and patiently wait to be killed. He had finally decided he wanted to live. Now was not the time to be suicidal. Through the grace of God, nothing happened to Malcolm when he slept or on the way to the train station. He waited on the train. Malcolm figured maybe he could survive in some place that was fucked up already, like Detroit. He had decided that if he couldn't get a handle on the killing, then he was going back to his original plan of being dead. As high as he was the day before on getting his life back, he realized it was a temporary emotion, the wishful thinking of an addict. Who wasn't resolved to change their life on day one? It reminded him of everyone flooding the gym on January 1st and falling off before February rolled around. His enthusiasm, while well-intentioned, was not going to sate his urge. There was a woman that sat next to him in a business suit. She looked around a bit, seeing only Malcolm and a man sleeping with his head down. The car they were in was a passenger car and could hold 6, maybe 8. I'm Samantha. Malcolm, you done this trip before? No, Malcolm lied. He had done it once with his family, but he didn't want to talk about them. I'm going to Detroit on business, said Samantha. Malcolm didn't want to entice the conversation further by asking her follow-up questions. The typical, why are you going there and what do you do? He didn't think it was a healthy idea to continue this conversation when all he could think about was killing her. So why are you going to Detroit? Said Samantha, who was pushing the conversation hard, while Malcolm was doing everything in his power to end it. You know, start a new life, something like that. Interesting, Samantha claimed. Why that bullshit answer was of interest was far beyond Malcolm's perception.